Welcome back. My name is Christopher, and we're going to be talking about the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution was the switch from Tsars to a communist government, more specifically from Romanovs to the rule of the Bolsheviks. This is all a result of the loss of respect towards the Tsar and his immoral actions. Tsars ruled from 1547 to 1917, and they were appointed by God. That's the reason why no one questioned it, as they were also very ignorant and illiterate at the time. No one would question the power of God and his choices, right? They even prayed to the Tsar. He was a god in their eyes. There were many issues with Tsars. One of them being the extreme poverty, with 80% of the population being serfs, aka really poor people, and the other 20% being nobles, the only wealthy people, or people with money, in other words. Most of them were related to Romanovs, who were the Tsar's family. They were just rich because they were rich, just because of the last name, let's say. Peasants moved to the city for jobs to improve their life. This only worked for some of them, but most of them were still extremely poor. So poor there was no food. This even led to cannibalism. Imagine how bad the problem would be for it to result in something like that. The problem was that the people had no voice in the government. They had no say in anything that was being done. This just made Russia ripe for revolution. It was bound to happen. The power dynamic was too much. The revolution was the result of the millions of people that were just angry. They wanted change. They wanted a voice. They were becoming smarter than they were before, questioning the power of the Tsar, and if he was really even related to God, or any of what was stated before. Was any of that even true? A worker union began to unite. It was protesting for change in wages, rights, and etc., stuff like that. Their quote was, "Workers of the world unite." Not only did they want change, they also demanded the end of the war, which the Tsar at the time had joined for no reason. World War One. Russia was already having problems as well, so why join another war that had no place being fought for in the first place? But most importantly, the last strike, I'd say, was 1905's Bloody Sunday, a Sunday where a peaceful protest resulted in the death of young children. To be more specific, a priest and a group of people went up to the Tsar's palace and started peacefully protesting when the guards shot up into the sky as a warning, or trying to frighten them, but they resulted in shooting the trees, which were full of kids who were expecting the scenario, hoping to see the Tsar, as, remember, in their eyes, he was a god. He was rarely ever seen. The Tsar attempted to fix his errors, but all his attempts failed. He started the Duma, which gave more power to the people, but of course, this could be ended any time by the Tsar, so was there really any change in that? There wasn't. By 1917, food riots had broke out and the revolution had begun, as some still preferred the Tsar and others were tired of him. They doubted anything he said. He was just not their leader no more. Eventually, Nicholas II wasn't even obeyed by his army. They refused to shoot, and he ended up giving the throne. To cut the story short, the Bolsheviks, which were the Communist Party led by Vladimir Lenin, they would eventually take the Soviet Union from the provisional government that took care of Russia for the couple months when they were left without a leader, making Lenin the new leader. Lastly, all the Romanovs were assassinated in an attempt to stop the revolution, and the result of his relationship with Rasputin, who everybody hated. This was an extreme act from the Bolshevik Party, as some people still preferred the Romanovs and wanted them back in power, but what was the solution to that? And the Romanovs, then there was no Romanov to take power, so their line was over. So the Bolsheviks were the only thing left. The Romanovs also associated before they were, kept captive by the Bolsheviks, and when they were in power, many people also started to doubt them, as they had a relationship with Rasputin, who they believed could heal their son from hemophilia, as he was going to be the next Tsar. But Rasputin was just not a good person at all. He did crazy things, and he ended up tricking the Romanovs into believing that he did heal their son, and he just gave a bad look to Romanovs. That was another reason why everybody lost respect for him. But apart from that, point is that Romanovs dead, Bolsheviks took over the Soviet Union, which would eventually become Russia. And that's how the rule of the Tsars ended.